The Bible was her foundation. She built her knowledge based on the Word. The Word was her life. Fear could not control her. Circumstances did not shake her. She was a woman of faith because the God she served was above all. Her name is Gladys Alyward, and this is her story. Gladys worked hard and saved money to go to China. She got a one-way ticket to China to help an elderly woman who was looking for someone to take over her missionary work in the mountain of Shanxi province. 73-year-old Jenny Lawson came up with a creative idea to renovate a house villagers believed to be haunted into a hotel for Chinese mule drivers. This hotel offered something that no other neighboring hotel offered, which was dinner with Bible stories. Gladys's love for the villagers grew as she cared for the orphans, and even the prisoners trusted in her and listened to the word that she spoke. They had so much trust in her that it was Gladys who became a food inspector in order to stop the practice of food binding. But it was only on one condition: that she could tell Bible stories while doing so. It was through this job that many people became Christians after hearing the gospel of Jesus. Gladys was a woman who always put God above all. She was a woman when you spoke to her, you hear Christ speaking through her because of her wisdom and faith in God. One day a riot broke out in the prison, and Gladys was told to come there and stop it because the guards were too afraid. The head of the prison said to Gladys, "Go into the yard and stop the rioting." She said, "How can I do that?" The warden said, "You have been preaching that those who trust in Christ have nothing to fear." And so that night she went in and broke the riot apart. Since then, the prisoners listened to Gladys because of the change she made in the prison. In the early 1930s, a war broke out in China and bombs were flying from the sky. At the time, Gladys was leading a prayer group, so she gathered all the children and the villagers and took them to a safe place in the mountains. They ended up in Japanese territory. A Roman Catholic priest who worked with the Japanese asked Gladys to live with them because it wasn't safe, but Gladys refused. She did not only refuse, but she got angry because she said Christians never retreat. This resulted in the capture, dead or alive, of Gladys along with 2 other people. Instead of being afraid, Gladys gathered the remaining 100 children and walked for 12 days until they reached the river, but there was no boat. The children kept asking Gladys, "Why are we not crossing over?" And Gladys replied, "There's no boat." The children kept asking Gladys, "Why are we not crossing over?" And Gladys said, "Because there's no boat." To which they responded, "God can do anything. Ask him to get us across." They all knelt and prayed and sang. Chinese officers heard them singing and rode on. When they heard their story, they said, "I think I can get you a boat." And so they crossed. If God has called you to China or any other place, and you are sure in your heart, let nothing deter you. Remember, it is God who has called you. And it is the same as when he called Moses or Samuel. Gladys Alyward.